Well, this already looks like garbage, so I have zero faith. Thank you, YouTube, for allowing me this no faith. As you can see, my roof has flooded, and yeah, that's that. We're officially moving up in the world, or so we thought. Welcome to Let's Talk. Welcome to Authority Videocast. Again, apologies for any technical issues. It's funny because we've been dealing with them at work, and then it seems I can't escape it once I get home. I do want to apologize for my microphone. I don't know. We've seeming to have some issues on that front as well. The last couple of times I've gone to record, so if we make it through this video, which is doubtful, if we make it through this video, I don't know. But we're trying, people. We're trying. We're trying to bring you guys some quality content, and yeah, I just can't imagine. It's just the quality of the stream just looks barrenly low. So I will more than likely, I don't know. You're just gonna get what you get with this one, I guess. Um, Excuse me. So I can't. I mean, I can't possibly touch every game here, people. I did want to make a correction from last week, though. There was actually three FCS upsets before the first full Saturday. That first full Saturday being last Saturday, as South Dakota State drubbed Colorado State 42-23. And all I have to say to Colorado State is hang your heads all you want about the loss on the field, but in my book, you'll always be losers until you bring back those gnarly orange, those alternate orange. I don't know if they were throwbacks. I don't know what they were, but when Hollywood Higgins was playing, current Cleveland Brown, when Hollywood Higgins was playing at Colorado State, he had some awesome threads as part of the Colorado State Ram program, and they just got to bring those back. So like I said, I can't possibly touch every game. USC, San Jose State was a game I was interested in. Illinois, UTSA. I didn't watch much of it, but obviously UTSA came away with a big win. A week after Illinois came away with a big win against Nebraska. Would Scott Frost have survived the loss to UTSA? That program it wasn't like UTSA jumped up in 2011 from Division II or FCS. UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio, began its program in 2011. It's a program that isn't hardly 10 years old yet. Just incredible. Purdue and Oregon State. Purdue ends up pulling that one out by a final of 30-21. I thought that was a pretty interesting non-conference matchup between two middling Power 5 teams. NIU, Georgia Tech. NIU with Rocky Lombardi, former Michigan State embattled quarterback Rocky Lombardi, transfers to NIU and pulls off the upset over Georgia Tech. What's going on with the Rambling Wreck? I mean, seriously, what's going on there? Yeah, winless last year. NIU was winless last year, and they start their year off with a win over ACC, Georgia Tech. And even a game like Marshall-Navy, I thought that would be an intriguing matchup, and it turns out Marshall just went into Navy's backyard and just beat the brakes off them. You know, at some point I did have to slow down, and yeah, I mean, I watched games for 12, 13 hours on last Saturday, but I'll try to cover as many of the most intriguing matchups and results as possible for what I did see. And so, of course, that doesn't include Miami, Alabama, that debacle. It doesn't include Texas thinking they're back by beating the Raging Cajuns, because let's face it, it was awesome to see the team like Louisiana last year have a really good year. But does Texas honestly think it's back because they beat the Raging Cajuns? Because before last year, that's all they were. They were, hey, look at that funny team in NCAA football with their name Raging Cajuns. That's all they were. Although their running back Bijan Robinson was clearly the best player on the field, and I thought he obviously was unstoppable. And then, of course, a fourth FCS upset. Holy Cross upends UConn by double digits. Mo Ibrahim's out for the year. Just a couple quick hits there. Obviously, all of you also saw that Washington went down to Montana, another FCS. So I think we're at least 5 there. But Michigan ran all over Western Michigan. I didn't actually see that happening. I thought Western Michigan would keep it close. Michigan racked up 335 yards. They ran for almost 8 yards a clip. Mike Hart, their all-time leading rusher in school history, is now the running backs coach. And although I don't know, I feel like there might actually be a quarterback controversy unless they want to run 2 quarterbacks, because how do you not play J.J. McCarthy? 5-star quarterback. And not that Cade McNamara isn't a good quarterback, but J.J. McCarthy seems to be the real deal. Although, as we all know by now, Ronnie Bell carted off the field and he is done for the year. So it'll be interesting to see. They with your top receiver down, you'd think they emphasize the run, especially with Washington coming into the big house. I think there's tough times for Temple ahead. There's just been too many coaching changes too fast. Starting with Matt Rule, I just think that there's from getting all the way from Matt Rule to Rod Carey, it's all happened too fast. There was a coach in between, and they lost to 47. They lost by 47 to Rutgers. The game was obviously moved from Thursday to Saturday because of Hurricane Ida. So anyone that's still being affected by Hurricane Ida, our thoughts and our prayers are with you. K-State sneakily looked at I don't know if it's Stanford looked unimpressive or K-State, but K-State was up 24-0 in the fourth quarter. They beat Stanford 24-7. A Penn State extra point actually leaves the door open for an ugly-ass Wisconsin-Penn State game. I don't care what anyone says. That was the ugliest game of the whole weekend. Penn State pulls it out 16-10. They were the underdogs. A shout out to Tulane, recovered an onside kick, 1 yard short on fourth down. I mean, Michael Pratt straight up outplayed the leading Heisman, thought to be the leading Heisman contender coming into the year, Spencer Rattler. I always call him Desmond Ridder. That's Cincinnati's quarterback. I got to get Desmond Ridder and Spencer Rattler. I don't know what it is, but I always am. But yes, it's Spencer Rattler. Has his own logo, but he was outplayed by Michael Pratt. Are we looking for a new Heisman frontrunner? And if so, who? I would have told you potentially Mo Ibrahim, but then he goes down. So maybe Talia Tagovailoa, because he in an underrated quarterback battle with Jarrett Doege, Talia looked he looked amazing, to be quite honest. He looked really good. He was special. He's giving Maryland stability at the quarterback position that, quite frankly, they just haven't had. 7 years since a quarterback started every game for the Terrapins. Doege had a back break. Jared Doege, former BGSU guy, he was thought to be the truth at BGSU, and he was. There just wasn't any talent around him, aside for Scotty Miller, who's now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he throws a back-breaking pick in the end zone, down 23-21 mid-fourth quarter, immediately answered by a 60-yard bomb from Tagovailoa, which was his third TD pass. And so Tagovailoa wins the quarterback battle, but he also wins the war, which was the game. 30-24 is the final. And I guess a revitalized rivalry. Never really realized that West Virginia and Maryland were rivals like that, but there you go. Michael Penix, possibly the most disappointing, seriously, the most disappointing performance of all of Saturday. Maybe not as a team, but that probably would go to Washington. But as an individual, and I know he's coming off injuries and all that, but he throws 3 picks in the first half, 2 for pick sixes. The game was over by halftime. It was 31-3 at half, 34-6 final. No need to watch the second half. The game was over at halftime. It was seriously disappointing. Big news, obviously, on the Buckeye front. Oregon's Kayvon Thibodeau is looking like a game-time decision. He went out early and could only watch on in street clothes as Oregon got a real scare from Fresno State. Fresno actually led 24-21 early fourth quarter, but Oregon came back and they hang on to win 31-24. Iowa State 13-10 at half with Northern Iowa, and that was after Iowa State put up a field goal with no time left in the first half. So really, up until the last play of the first half, Iowa State and Northern Iowa were tied. You got to expect more of the Cyclones this weekend, especially after Iowa's impressive performance against IU. I'm not going to say that game gets ugly, but if Iowa State isn't careful, they will lose yet again to Iowa. You just hate to see it. Northern Iowa actually did have a potential game-winning drive set up at the end of the fourth quarter, but Iowa State hangs on to survive. A really interesting outcome was Houston was up 7-0 opening drive. They go for it on fourth down like 2 or 3 times. They convert all of them. They end up scoring. And on the ensuing kickoff, almost shades of the Saints Super Bowl victory, they go for an onside kick in the first quarter and recover. And by the way, they go down and score again. So before Texas Tech's offense could ever touch the field, they were already down 14-0. But it didn't matter because Texas Tech ended up running away with that game, I believe, by the final score of 38-21. Clemson had 1 rushing yard in the first half. I think they ended up with 2 for the game or something. Neither looked good on offense, and I get that Georgia's defensive front was amazing, but I didn't think either team looked good in that game offensively. Neither team seems to have a real deep threat. I mean, really pathetic offensive performance by both teams. The scoring plays were a 75-yard pick six, a 22, and a 24-yard field goal. So for anyone that was looking for big, exciting plays out of Clemson, Georgia, I guess aside from the pick six, but offensively speaking, you just didn't get it. And the fact that you're having to settle for 22 and 24-yard field goals, they just couldn't score. It was ridiculous. LSU and UCLA, one of the better games from Saturday, was scoreless after the first quarter, and LSU takes the lead, but UCLA immediately answers with a 75-yard touchdown pass with a nasty run after catch. And then it was a 3-and-out for their defense. UCLA, they had wide open plays, and they eventually bust through with a big, tough run in the red zone. 14-7, UCLA early second quarter. Their defense was playing really well, seemingly throughout the game. Shocking turn for the Bruins and Chip Kelly. Is Chip Kelly is he thinking he's back? I mean, Lord only knows. Let's see here. LSU false start negates a field goal attempt, and they're forced to punt. And then DTR throws pick into double coverage under 5 minutes left in the first half. So it's 14-10 UCLA. UCLA continued to play great in the second half. Sorry, my notes are super jumbled here. It's getting late at night, folks. But basically, I mean, we all know what happened. I mean, UCLA just totally outplayed LSU. It was crazy. My vote for the game of the entire first week was FSU Notre Dame. I mean, honestly, you guys, what a freaking game that was. I was thinking they were back, as were Seminole fans, not quite. A fourth down call in the third quarter was, to me, this is how I was feeling at the time, was inexcusable and the death nail in their honest attempt to come away with an upset. But then, and they were down 18 to start the fourth quarter. They put together a scoring drive, but then Mackenzie Milton enters the game with 9 minutes remaining after Travis. I was watching the game. Sorry, Travis, your quarterback. Not that he's insignificant in any way, shape, or form. It's just not only did I not jot his first name down, I also didn't realize that I wouldn't be getting to these games until almost a week later. So the guy who ended up starting for Florida State at quarterback, his helmet comes off. Mackenzie Milton comes in for, you'd think, one play, but he completes a big pass down the field. Really just a huge play. And FSU immediately, they stuck with the hot hand. Crucial. It was just a crucial drive. They're still down 10 at that point because they went down and scored, got a 2-point conversion after being down 18 to start the fourth quarter. They're down 10. They leave Mackenzie Milton in the game, a huge third down completion. And Mackenzie Milton goes perfect on his first drive back since, I believe, 2018. He's a medical miracle. And it's an FSU touchdown, 38-35 with 5.5 left. Notre Dame goes 3-and-out, and they were sacked on, this says fourth down, but that had to be third down. Notre Dame was a 3-and-out, and they were actually sacked on third down. So momentum just seemed to be building for the Seminoles. And at that point, I was freaking out. It really was. Milton comes back in, and they had a couple amazing patient runs from Trajan Ward on the final drive, a clutch 43-yard kick to tie it late, and then an unbelievable drop by Notre Dame's tight end that would have set up a game-winning field goal in regulation. They end up having to wing the ball towards the end zone on the final play. It's picked off. We go to overtime. Mike Norvell ices his own kicker. he makes one from like 50 plus out, but they review a play and it's all Tom Brady tuck rule crap. And basically, Norvell ices his own kicker. He makes the 50-yarder that doesn't count and then misses the shorter kick. And then Notre Dame they play a little conservatively and then they set up for the game-winning field goal and they nailed it. 41-38. I think that was the best game, quite honestly, of the whole weekend. And I just want to touch on, a lot has been said about the Super Conference, the SEC Super Conference. Rice now, mind you, led Arkansas 17-7 midway through the third quarter. Arkansas did not regain the lead until the fourth quarter. They pulled away 31-17 and ran it up 38-17 for the final. So, yeah, Razorbacks are still not very good. La Tech led Mississippi State. Oh, my God, a.k.a. boys being boys because they don't suspend anyone after brawls. Again, Tulsa suspended, ended up coming out. They suspended 9 guys, 6 for the entire game. 4 were starters. And, Mississippi State just has nothing to say about the fact they were entrenched in a post-bowl game brawl last year. So, boys being boys, trailed 21-14 at half. They were down 31-14 to La Tech. 34-14 early fourth quarter. So, actually, La Tech was just building this up. They were up 20 points. But Mississippi State stormed back with 21 answered points to take a 35-34 lead. And this, I'm sorry, Skip Holtz, but what were you doing? What was Skip Holtz thinking? Oh my God, there was a minute left. And there's a minute left on 4th and 10. La Tech completes a pass just beyond the sticks along the sideline for a first down. And instead of pushing the ball any further, again, there's a minute left. Skip Holtz decides he's just going to run the ball 3 times, set up a ridiculously too long a field goal. He had too much faith in his kicker, and it looked like a duck. I mean, some say they got his hand on it. That Mississippi State got their hand on it. I couldn't tell from the replay, but a 20-point comeback was the largest in Mississippi State history. They escaped 35-34. Skip Holtz cost himself a win over the Super Conference, if that's even what you want to call it. And then again, Central Michigan led Missouri 14-7 second quarter. Mizzou actually on a 53-yard field goal with 2 seconds left in the first half takes the lead into the locker room, and they hung on to win 34-24. Texas A&M led by 7, 10-3 versus Kent State. And if anyone gambles, the over on that game was incredibly high, and yet Texas A&M was up 10-3 at half over Kent State. And I'm just not seeing it. I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but again, you call yourself a super conference, you should be beating the brakes off these teams, not having to come from 20 points down, not, trailing 17-7 midway through the third quarter to Rice, being up only by 7 on Kent State. And then of course, Vanderbilt. I mean, what else can be said? They lose 20-3 to East Tennessee State. I mean, God. So, again, crazy weekend. I'd love to recap all the action for you guys again next weekend. Hopefully I can do it sooner than the following Friday. But, hey, at least we got it in before the games. At least 99% of the games go off tomorrow because, obviously, Kansas and Coastal Carolina are apparently entrenched in some sort of newfound rivalry. They play every freaking year now. So, got to get that Kansas-Coastal Carolina game in. I apologize, you guys, not only for the microphone issues, but it seems whenever the sun starts to go down and I want to get on YouTube, I mean, you should see it on my end. I don't know how the audio is going to hold up. I'll go back and I'll rewatch it, and if it's not holding up, I might just take it down. I might try to re-record before the end of the night. But it looks so grainy on my end, and I have to wonder, YouTube. I understand, not that many subscribers, but tell me, YouTube, how I'm supposed to grow my viewer base when every time I try and live stream, you shit all over it. I'm definitely curious. But you guys have an awesome weekend. I'm actually going to go home and catch I'm going to be on the field for Bowling Green versus South Alabama, so that should be fun. But make sure you guys have a great weekend. Love you very much. Stay safe, and we will definitely, most definitely, catch you on the next one. Hopefully. Most definitely. Hopefully.